Back on the SportsMax zone, we're bowling things up here with cricket. Rain could spoil plans for the grand final of the T20 World Cup in Australia, that at the MCG between England and Pakistan. That on Sunday, Australia's Bureau of Meteorology says between 15 and 25 millimetres of rain expected on Sunday. Seeing very high, near 100% chance of showers, the chance of a thunderstorm, possibly severe with heavy falls possible. The forecast is not looking great either for the reserve day either. The heavy rain in the forecast for Monday is also there. There is the outside chance that England and Pakistan may have to share the trophy. Our international cricket correspondent Fazir Mohammed joins us now to talk about the final coming up here between Pakistan and England. Not a final that many people had projected, Faz, but after all, it's world number 2 against world number 3. So maybe things have pretty much gone to form or recent performances.
Indeed, and I think, Lance, if you talked about it before the first ball was bowled, even in the qualifying, I think you would have factored Pakistan and England somewhere in the semi-final stage. But given the way they were playing, England losing to Ireland, Pakistan losing their first 2 matches, including that 1-run loss to Zimbabwe, and then needing the Netherlands to pull off that shock victory over South Africa, I suppose in that context, you wouldn't have expected them to be there. But you're talking about really 2 quality teams, 2 teams with proven match winners on both sides. So if the weather holds and we get a proper contest, it should really make for an intriguing duel.
Yeah, a performance here or a likelihood of batting stealing the spotlight here in this final. Babar Azam and Rizwan for Pakistan, if they get going, it's going to be hard to stop them. But we saw what Butler and Hales did for England in their semi-final win. So the bowlers on both sides having a lot of challenges here.
Absolutely. And I think you've identified, Lance, the key point, because had Pakistan lost an early wicket, which they could have in that semi-final against New Zealand, it could have been very different. But again, that is just speculation. And all the talk is about this is destiny for Pakistan because of the 1992 50-over World Cup. They were struggling as well. Rain saved them from defeat in a match against England, and then they came back all the way into the final, beating New Zealand in the semi-final and then winning that final. But England have quality, and you're right to identify the top of the order. Because in Alex Hales, you've got someone who was in the wilderness for 3 years because of his wayward lifestyle. Owen Morgan didn't want to have anything to do with him when they were on their way to winning the 2019 World Cup so dramatically against New Zealand. So yeah, I think really it's going to come down in essence. Of course, the bowlers will have a say. You would think so if there's rain around and the ball is moving about. But if either team gets the sort of platform that we saw in the semi-final, then it's very hard to beat that.
Yeah, for a moment, can we step away from the final and what's likely to happen there, Faz, and talk just briefly about India and their struggles here. World number 1, the most potent cricketers in T20 cricket globally for my money, but they weren't able to make it. A couple of thoughts here offered on India's woes. There is one view I've heard that India, because they do not allow their players to play global franchise cricket, they don't have enough frequent experience playing T20 international cricket or T20 cricket period outside of India, and that in some way could have hurt them. Your thoughts on that?
There might be some validity to that, Lance, but when you look at the IPL, that's the best of the best.
Yes.
You've got your best players in the world playing there. Whether or not it will make a difference if they were exposed to BBL conditions in Australia, CPL conditions in the Caribbean, you never know. And again, it might just be speculation. I think it's just a matter of India, for whatever reason, but it's a combination of complacency. There could be an element of overconfidence when the West Indies famously beat them in Mumbai in the semi-final in 2016 ahead of that dramatic victory over England in the final. It seems so long ago now. Again, there was that sense that the West Indies were just there as cannon fodder, and we saw things going differently. So yeah, but India, 168 for 8, they might have felt that they had enough ammunition to really get the better of England, but we saw differently. And again, I don't think it's about sending their players out. They might very well think of doing so. I just think that India, for whatever reason, but this pressure they're putting on themselves with the weight of expectation as having the top IPL tournament, the top T20 tournament in the world and so many other elements. I don't think it's as simple as saying that they need to play more franchise cricket outside of India to really broaden their game and be more effective.
Fazir, there was a powerlessness about India in the field against England. I don't feel sorry for athletes, sportsmen or women, but there's a moment I harbored thoughts of feeling sorry for Rohit Sharma, the India captain, as Hales and Butler just blasted the ball to all parts of the ground. There's proper cricketing shots, it must be noted. Nobody trying to go over on their back and scoop anything over their head or any. Exactly, there you go, right? I know you were scratching your face just the same, but it's as if you were saying they use their brains. The point is, Pakistan, like the rest of us, sat and watched that happen. Does the manner of England's totally domineering performance over India set them up psychologically at a higher point heading into the final than Pakistan?
Not necessarily, because I think Pakistan would have seen that, and credit to England. Yeah, they took the game away, and that's the thing. If India were thinking, well, we're India, we're number one ranked, they're going to respect our bowlers. No, Joss Butler and Alex Hales decided quite clearly that this is the best method to attack immediately. They caught India cold, and India just could not recover from that. Pakistan, you're talking about a team, they are mercurial. They could collapse in a heap if the final is played one weather allows, and it could be a no contest, which has happened in the 50-over World Cup of 1999 against Australia at Lord's, where it was a total no contest. That's always likely to happen. But when you talk about Pakistan's bowlers, I think they've got a bit more variety, they've got a bit more pace, they've got bowlers who can use the conditions effectively, and also they've got that hostility about them, which would suggest that they'll be right up in the faces of Butler and Hales, and it really will be for Hales and Butler to respond. It could make for an exciting contest in those early exchanges.
And there you go now, because I'm saying it may be, you and Lance have spoken about the batting talent on both sides of the fence, naming just some of the players who could potentially change the game with one innings. And there I'm thinking now, Faz, that the bowling, the bowler the team whose main bowler, or for whom a bowler stands up and delivers something big, that the edge could reside with them. Because notwithstanding the fact that Chris Jordan's 3 wickets in that semi-final for England were relatively expensive at 48, but it's 48 for 3. So, you'll take 3 wickets any day for 48 runs. India had nobody like that. And you got the feeling that Ashwin and company, Hardik and company, could have bowled for a whole test day. 90 overs they could have been given in the day, and they wouldn't have gotten an English wicket. So you're saying that Pakistan have the kind of players who can alter the course of the innings, rather than as India did, everybody seemed to come and just throw the ball in an area where Hales and Butler could do damage.
I think so. And we talk about the pace and the opening batsmen and so on. It could be a spinner on either side making the difference. Because remember, Adil Rashid bowled his 4 overs for 20 runs. And he's had a fantastic tournament as far as his economy rate. I think just about 6.25. On the other hand, you've got Shadab Khan, who's developing into a really world-class all-rounder in the white ball formats of the game. And again, his wicket-taking ability is vital for Pakistan. So yes, again, even though it's only T20 cricket in the sense that you're talking about just 40 overs maximum, there's so much that could happen in just that space of time, 3.5 hours, where it could be, despite all of the preoccupation with the fast bowlers against the attacking opening batsmen, the spinners could be the one making the difference.
Yeah, last one on this, Faz, before Lance takes you into Super 50 territory in the region. I hear some people trying to find comfort from a West Indies perspective in the fact that, we lost to Ireland in the qualifiers. Look at the other teams that lost to Ireland. Look at the other big teams who lost to some of the lesser lights in the proper stage of the tournament. So maybe in context, the West Indies performance wasn't so bad after all. What say you about that line of reasoning?
That is comfort for a fool. The fact of the matter is that the West Indies didn't make the grade. Say what you want about where Ireland went, where the Netherlands went, or where Scotland went, and whoever. The fact is the West Indies, at the preliminary stage of the World T20, the 2-time world champions up until October of last year, couldn't win 2 matches And indeed, they were celebrating the win over Zimbabwe as if we'd actually won the World T20 itself. So the fact of the matter is, you can dice it, slice it, you can puree it. The fact of the matter is the West Indies just weren't up to scratch this time around.
Yeah, perfectly correct, Faz. We're still talking cricket action in the CG United Super 50 competition, continuing this Friday with 2 matches. In the early match at the Coolidge Cricket Ground, Jamaica Scorpions beat Zone B leaders Leeward Islands Hurricanes by 4 wickets with 19 balls to spare via the Duckworth-Lewis method. At sports time in the late match, a day-night affair between Barbados Pride and the West Indies Academy. That at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium, the Pride batting first posted 279 for 6 from their 50 overs. Half centuries for the Hope brothers, Kyle and Shea, and Zachary McCaskey, the West Indies Academy, in their reply, 7 without loss at the moment. And Faz, just quickly your thoughts on how things are going. I know one of the groups being played there in Trinidad and Tobago, the other group in Antigua and Barbuda. Some good results there for the defending champions. They have now moved to the top of the table, TNT Red Force. But the Leewards Hurricanes suffering only their first loss today and assuring themselves as potential challengers for the title.
Absolutely. And I think one of the challenges that we have in Trinidad and Tobago is the weather. It's been really unpredictable. We've had some torrential showers and they could still upset things. And we saw that farcical situation with the CCC and the Red Force about time wasting and so on, which is another story. But Alec Athanaze apart, who had 200s, I think you're seeing the usual suspects coming to the fore. I think what we want to see are some of the bright young talents really putting themselves forward, not just with bits and pieces performances. We want to see that real tremendous love, that you step back and you open your eyes wide and you see this player, whether it's a bowler or a batsman and so on. Maybe it's the atmosphere as well, because there's very little atmosphere for these matches, hardly any spectators at all, so it's difficult for the players really to get themselves motivated, but they're taking their motivation from within. I think we're seeing quite a few decent players, decent performances. But again, when you look at the really outstanding performances, as I said, Alec Athanaze apart with those 200s, I think it's the usual players you would expect who are coming to the fore for this tournament.
Yeah, and the Windwards Volcanoes had started well too, Faz. You wouldn't have counted them among the usual suspects as far as dominant teams are concerned, but they have for a couple of years now been showing themselves. Athanaze is from the Windward Islands, Dominica, and his Dominican teammate, Kavim Hodge, has also put his hand up with some pretty solid performances so far in the series, both with bat and ball.
Indeed, and you know the Windward Islands, I always feel, that there's, whether it's a stigma attached to the Windward Islands, whether it's the Volcanoes or there's the playing Windward Islands or any other franchise related to the Windward Islands. So they're almost treated as the poor cousins of regional cricket. Yet we've seen them produce quality cricketers, and in many occasions, the sum of their parts are much better than some of the so-called established teams. So I would never rule them out. They've lost momentum after that very good start. But I would really like to see a lot of these young players take advantage of this opportunity. You're on the regional stage, there's international coverage for the matches in Antigua. You really have an opportunity to step forward. Think about your own game, think about your team, of course, but tell yourself, this is my opportunity. There are heaps of opportunities available in West Indies cricket with the state that we are in our men's game especially. So I would really like to see these players step forward as we head towards the knockout phase.
All right, Faz, thanks a lot for talking to us here on the SportsMax Zone. We'll be in touch. Lots of cricket coming up in the coming months as well. Just briefly on that, the Jamaica Scorpions Leeward Islands match, the Leewards Hurricanes 207 all out. Dennis Bulai, the left arm spinner, picking up 3 wickets there, and for the Jamaica Scorpions run chase 182 for 6. There was a big knock of 87 for Brandon King, who is showing consistently good form, and he had shared in a 100 opening stand with the veteran Chadwick Walton. We still have a lot more to come on the SportsMax Zone. Back after this.